Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a really fascinating journey, moving beyond just the balance sheets and financial reports. We're diving deep into the emotional landscape of wealth.
That's right. It's often unseen, this emotional side.
Exactly. And our mission here is to help you, the retail investor, start to maybe unravel your own personal money patterns. Things like, common pitfalls, paralysis, maybe overspending, and even understand how gender can influence financial behavior.
It's all about empowerment, really, helping you make more thoughtful, more intentional financial decisions. Because these emotional undercurrents, they're powerful.
They really are. It reminds me of Sigmund Freud, actually. He observed something quite interesting, didn't he, about how money matters are often treated.
Yes, he did. He noted this peculiar mix of inconsistency, prudishness, even hypocrisy around money, much like how society treated sexual matters back then.
Prudishness and hypocrisy.
Huh.
That suggests a real deep discomfort, doesn't it?
Absolutely, a societal discomfort that, inevitably shapes how we individually behave with money. It sets the stage for a lot of the confusing reactions people have.
It certainly does. Take, for instance, a case like Camilla's. She inherited what seems like a modest amount, right? $30,000 in blue chip stocks.
Right, not life-altering necessarily, but significant.
But she became so overwhelmed, she just let 3 years of dividend checks pile up, uncashed. What's going on there?
Well, that's a textbook example, sadly, of what we call money paralysis. For Camilla, it was deeply tied to the trauma surrounding her mother's death, which was connected to the inheritance.
So the money itself became painful.
Precisely, a painful symbol leading her to complete inaction. But it's not just about that kind of direct trauma. We see this paralysis even in people who grew up with
I think
wealth.
so.
If they associate that inherited money with, say, family conflicts or unhappiness they witnessed growing up, the key thing, really, the insight for everyone, is that recognizing these patterns often learned young and quite resistant to change, that recognition is the first step.
The first step towards developing new strategies.
Exactly. Towards managing wealth more effectively rather than being managed by it.
Okay, that's a powerful starting point. So it sounds like this money paralysis on one hand and maybe out of control spending on the other. These are two of the really big behavioral reactions.
They are indeed two of the most prevalent we see when people encounter significant wealth, especially if it's sudden. We should definitely dig into both.
Okay, but first, maybe we need to understand the foundation. You mentioned money styles.
Yes, exactly. Before we get to the reactions, let's talk about money styles. Think of them as the unique ways individuals tend to manage their finances day to day.
Our financial personality, almost.
Sort of, yes. And what's fascinating is that getting wealth and all the emotions that come with it tends to amplify these existing styles, makes them much more pronounced.
That makes a lot of sense. So where do these styles even originate? Are we born with them or...
Oh, they definitely don't develop in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Our parents' behaviors are huge. Super frugal parents might raise a spendthrift who's rebelling.
Or they might raise someone just as frugal.
Exactly. It can go either way. And the economic climate you grow up in matters too. Think about Dan. Grew up stable. Now he likes conservative investments. But his wife, Becky, her father always worried about poverty.
So she's risk averse.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Wants money safe in the bank. Polar opposite approaches stemming from different childhood anxieties.
It's really compelling how kids either copy their parents or just intensely rebel. And it's not just family, is it? Media, culture.
Oh, absolutely. Media, cultural norms, they play a massive role. That whole keeping up with the Joneses idea. It's pervasive, and it gets baked into our financial identity without us even realizing it half the time.
Right. So understanding those influences helps us maybe categorize these styles. You mentioned 6 classic ones.
Yes, let's walk through them. First, there's hoarding. This is someone with a very tight grip on money. It's often driven by distrust, maybe a fear of the future, or strong memories of past hardship. Holding on to money feels safe.
Security is the driver there.
Yeah.
Okay, what's second?
Second is acquiring. These folks seek validation through achievement, through buying things. But the interesting thing is...
The satisfaction doesn't last.
Exactly. It's short-lived. So they're constantly seeking the next thing, the next source of admiration. It's less about the money, more about what it represents: status, maybe accomplishment.
Like being on a treadmill, always needing the next hit of validation.
Precisely. Then number 3 is taking over. For these individuals, it's all about the power and control that come with money. Often it's compensating for feeling powerless somewhere else in their life, maybe earlier on.
And that desire for power through money, is it ever satisfied?
Typically, no. It's usually insatiable. There's never quite enough power, never quite enough control.
That's a key point. Okay, number 4.
4 is the spending addict. Now, these individuals aren't necessarily after possessions or even power. What they crave is the thrill of the transaction itself.
The act of spending.
Yes, that momentary rush becomes addictive. We've heard people describe it as almost like an orgasm-like rush when making big purchases. It shows how intense that compulsion can be. Sometimes it's linked to manic phases in bipolar disorder, too.
Wow, that's intense. Okay, number 5.
5th is messing up. This describes someone who chronically mismanages their finances, habitually overdrawing accounts, maxing out credit cards, maybe compulsive gambling.
It's just consistent financial difficulty.
Yes, and what's really striking here, some statistics suggest a strong link between this inability to manage money and broader societal issues. A high percentage of people who are institutionalized, for example, have profound struggles with money management. It underscores the real-world impact.
It really does. And the last one, number 6, brings us back to
paralysis, which we touched on with Camilla, defined by inaction, avoiding money, often rooted in guilt, maybe anger, or strong beliefs about social justice that clash with having wealth. The potential of the money just sits there, completely untapped.
so much potential just frozen. How can people figure out their own style?
Well, there's a practical tool we recommend. It's exercise 2-1 called the Money Diary.
The money diary. Sounds straightforward.
It is, but incredibly revealing. For 1 week, you simply jot down every thought you have about money and every transaction, big or small.
And what does that typically show?
It unearths the underlying emotions. You might notice guilt, say, about not giving spare change to someone. Or maybe anger about a small, trivial expense. Or even resentment if someone asks you to make fundraising calls, revealing a hidden feeling that maybe you should just write a check instead.
So it brings those subconscious drivers right to the surface.
Exactly. It shines a light on your hidden financial narrative. It's a great starting point for self-awareness.
Okay, that's really useful. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about when spending becomes the problem. You mentioned this Aladdin illusion.
Yes, the Aladdin illusion. It's this belief that many newly wealthy people fall into. The idea that money can buy or change absolutely anything.
Like having a magic lamp.
Pretty much. And it leads them to spend money trying to get things that, frankly, money just can't buy. Genuine love, true self-worth, erasing past hurts.
Recognizing that limit must be crucial then. That money can't buy everything.
It's a fundamental realization needed for intentional wealth management. And understanding the drivers behind overspending helps too. One big one is the need to dispose of painful memories.
Like the money is tainted.
Exactly. If it's tied to something traumatic, like inheriting from a deceased child, the urge to just get rid of it can be overwhelming. It's a constant, painful reminder.
That makes sense. What else drives overspending?
Well, as we touched on with the spending addict style, there's the addiction to the transaction itself. It's not the thing they buy, it's the rush of buying it. That thrill becomes the driver, leading to compulsive, often large purchases.
Almost like chasing a high.
Very much so. Another driver is a deep feeling of undeserving. Low self-esteem can make people spend money on others instead of themselves, like Barbara, who subsidized her boyfriend, saying, "It wasn't my money. I don't really deserve it."
Or they might spend destructively.
Yes, almost to prove they aren't worthy of the wealth. It's quite self-sabotaging.
What about using money for social reasons?
That's the 4th driver, seeking acceptance. Someone new to wealth might make large charitable donations to sort of cleanse the money or gain social standing. Think of Ivan Bureski and his huge donations to prestigious places.
Did it work for him?
Not really in the long run. While donations can be beneficial, real acceptance usually needs more than just money-sustained generosity, genuine engagement. It's not just about writing a check.
Right, it needs authenticity.
Yeah.
And the last driver.
Money euphoria. Just the sheer excitement of having new wealth. It can lead to really impulsive, big financial decisions without thinking through the long-term impact.
Like Kathy, the one who picked an advisor from the Yellow Pages.
Exactly. Caught up in the thrill of her divorce settlement, invests $75,000 in a sure-thing partnership, which promptly goes bankrupt. Surveys show people think they'll be sensible with a windfall, save some, spend some, pay debt. But that euphoria can make you lose your priorities fast.
Leading to some serious regrets down the line, I imagine.
Definitely. Which brings us to the flip side. Paralysis. That stifling grip of inaction. It's just as common as overspending, remember?
And also rooted in those deep associations with the money or where it came from.
Precisely. And the personal and financial toll of doing nothing can be just as significant as spending too much.
What are the underlying causes here? Why do people freeze?
It's diverse. Doubts about self-worth. Do I deserve this? A feeling of lacking information or control. I don't know what to do. Even sometimes fears for physical safety.
Safety.
Yes, we'll touch on that. Also, conflicts between personal principles and the source of the money. Maybe it came from a business they disapprove of. Or just overwhelming guilt or shame about having it.
And denial plays a role.
Initially, yes. Denial can be a temporary shock absorber, letting people adjust. But when it hardens, when it stops them from taking necessary action, that's when it becomes a real problem.
How does this avoidance manifest? What does it look like in practice?
Well, one way is avoiding it all. Literally ignoring the wealth. Depositing it in a low-yield account and just leaving it, driven by guilt, maybe political ideals, depression, or just feeling overwhelmed by choices.
The money's there, but doing nothing.
Exactly. Untapped potential. Another form is the fear of severing ties. This is emotional. People feel reluctant to sell inherited assets because they symbolize connection to loved ones.
Like Frances, who couldn't sell her parents' house.
Right. It was her last connection, even though it was a financial drain. Or the lawyer who felt selling 5 shares of stock was like selling a memory. Yeah. Powerful stuff.
Then there's the fear of being selfish.
Yes, a belief that spending on oneself, even for growth or new ventures, is somehow extravagant or wrong. We see people with ample means hesitating to pursue passions because they think it's too self-centered.
Tragic, really. And you mentioned fear for physical safety?
Yes, fears about physical safety, high-profile kidnappings, media attention. It intensifies anxiety for some. We hear about lottery winners adopting almost fugitive lifestyles, moving constantly, staying anonymous, some even buy ransom insurance. It's a very real fear for a subset of wealthy individuals.
Wow, okay. What else?
There's also money phobia, an actual irrational fear or hatred of money itself. Often stems from past embarrassment or negative experiences linked to money. Like Stacy, who connected her trust fund to her father's alcoholism and just rejected everything associated with wealth.
Because of those negative associations?
Precisely. And finally, there's the fear of taking responsibility, just being overwhelmed by the possibility of making the wrong financial choice.
So they do nothing.
They do nothing. Leads to total paralysis, sometimes even pathological hoarding. It's a real catch-22, as one expert put it. They might desperately need help, say, from a financial advisor, but their fear of spending money prevents them from getting that help.
It traps them. And the societal taboo around talking about money probably makes all this worse.
Absolutely. It fuels feelings of isolation. It reinforces negative ideas about wealth. It makes it harder to seek help or even just understand your own feelings. We even see this with some wealthy gay individuals finding it harder to come out about their money than their sexuality.
Really? More difficult?
In some cases, yes, leading to secrecy, anonymous donations, which can ultimately hinder their own personal growth and well-being.
That's quite profound. It really highlights how deep these issues run, which it seems like a good point to talk about gender. Does it play a significant role here?
It plays a crucial role. Gender profoundly influences attitudes and behaviors towards money. Often, men tend to associate money more with identity and power.
And women?
For women, it's frequently tied more closely to security and autonomy. But these are generalizations, of course, with lots of individual variation.
Of course. Let's start with the woman's point of view. There are some statistics out there that can be misleading, right? About women owning most wealth.
Yes, that needs clarifying. On paper, women might appear to own a majority share, but often men are controlling those assets, acting as trustees, bankers, managers.
So control versus ownership.
Exactly. And this dynamic can contribute to what's called learned helplessness. Women sometimes being socialized to be more passive financially, assuming men will handle it. This can unfortunately lead to less engagement with financial education.
And that passivity might lead to fantasies of being rescued.
Sometimes, yes. We'll call money deniers. Women holding on to an unconscious hope that a man will take care of everything financially, which naturally postpones taking personal responsibility.
There's also something about perfectionism.
Right. A cycle of low self-esteem mixed with really high expectations. Women might feel they have to manage money perfectly, organize everything flawlessly, invest immediately, get the highest return with zero risk.
Look, which is impossible.
Completely. And that demand for perfection can paralyze them, hindering any practical steps forward.
How do management styles differ, generally speaking?
Well, studies suggest women often define good management by hitting short-range goals, balancing the checkbook, paying off immediate debts. Men, in contrast, often prioritize longer-range strategies, investments, tax planning, again, general tendencies.
And women prefer a more relational approach with advisors.
Yes, often valuing that human connection, trust, and rapport over just a purely professional, perhaps more transactional presentation.
There's this myth that wealth is somehow easier for women, isn't there?
Yes, and figures like Sally Bingham strongly challenged that. She argued wealthy women can actually lose their voice, their identity, within what she saw as an unjust system.
And women defining themselves through relationships can create dilemmas.
Complex moral dilemmas, yes. Balancing self-care with caring for others. Sometimes, tragically, this pressure can even contribute to financially motivated white-collar crimes, committed out of a perceived need to provide for family.
That's a heavy burden. What about social obligations?
Upper-class women often report feeling a strong obligation to make significant community contributions, partly to justify their privilege. And economically successful women, they can face unique pressures.
Like choosing between independence and relationships.
Exactly. Or being seen by some men as too strong, creating psychological no-win situations or fears of being exploited for their money.
Okay, let's switch perspective. From the man's point of view.
So, as we said, male identity is often deeply intertwined with autonomy, work, and using money as a measure of success. Money gets linked with rationality, management, even a certain aggression in acquiring it.
And generally more self-confident about money. Higher expectations.
Generally, yes. Studies show men tend to exhibit more confidence and often need a larger amount of wealth to actually feel rich compared to women.
Because it's tied so closely to earning an identity.
Precisely. Which means receiving unearned wealth can be really disorienting for some men.
Like the lottery winners you mentioned.
Yes, some describe feeling gelded, emasculated when they got the check, because their identity was so tied to the act of earning, not just having. It really highlights how ingrained these gender dissociations are.
It absolutely does. So, wrapping this up, our deep dive today really underscores something important. Wealth opens doors, choices, privileges. David Rockefeller Sr. certainly noted that.
But it also introduces this unique, often unexpected, set of psychological challenges. It's not just about the numbers.
Not at all. Understanding your own emotional reactions, recognizing your money style, seeing those gender nuances. These are such crucial steps for you, the retail investor. Steps towards harnessing wealth effectively, intentionally.
So maybe the question for you listening is, how deeply ingrained is your personal financial narrative? And perhaps, what's one small, intentional step you could take this week? Maybe to challenge a belief that's holding you back, or affirm a positive habit you already have.
Just one small step. If you found this deep dive valuable for deepening your own financial understanding, please do remember to click like on this video.
And subscribe to the Finbot Insights channel for more of these in-depth explorations into the world of finance and investing.